Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to be here, and first of all, I would like to thank the organizers to invite us and come here and talk about our view of water. And I think it's a very great adventure for me to be here with you all waterheads, looking to the water very different ways. So we had the blessing, so to say, to come across the water. My name is Bernd Kroeplin. This is my name. So I came from all across from aerospace. I've been a professor of aerospace for a long time in Germany. And Regine Henschel, she's also here. She's standing there. And she has been a philosopher and movie maker and journalist, and came across our group and our team. So the team is about up to 6, 7, 8 persons, and they are changing and helping us and are fascinating by this work. So this work is more or less to look what the water tells us. So we came across a dark field microscope by chance or by blessing, and then we were curious looking, and the water told us about the phases of the water, about the images water makes if you put things into it, about electromagnetism, about sound, about communication, about water in connection with humans, about some sensible transformations. And I put these 7 examples as the 7 secrets they told us. And there are much more, but I think this is a good introduction. And if somebody is more interested in this, there are 2 books that you see here. One black book, this is World in a Drop, and a new book coming out within 10 days. The new book is in German, but it will come out later in English. And now I'm going to start and rush through, within my 30 minutes, through these seven things. So what's the method? The method is very, very simple. So we put water droplets onto a cleaned glass plate and put it under a dark field microscope. This is a very old technology. And when you look through the dark field microscope, then normally what do you expect? You expect a kind of chaos. And we were very surprised. We didn't see the chaos. We saw some order. See, this is the drop of the Lake of Constance, and you see a quite clear order instead of expecting chaos. We said, hey, is this special? Is this unique? Or is this repeatable? And then you see, if you look more on other water drops, this is all bad to see here, you see a number of faces. So the different waters look like they have faces. There's a Golden Bay Glacier, there's a tap water of Beijing, there's a tap water of Stuttgart, this is a lake near Berlin. And so they all have different kind of orders. Of course, you think of, okay, that's all right because there are different ingredients in these waters. But why don't they show a chaos? They show this order. So they show pictures, they show images. And now if I start, we put something into it. If I have a glass of water, I put a flower in. And I put a flower in, the petunia flower here, then you get this image. Why do you get this image? And then I put a Sweet William in, and then I get this image. And if I do 10 Sweet Williams, I get 10 images of this time. And if I do 10 petunia flowers, then I get 10 images of this time. So this means the water stores, organizes and stores somehow this information during the evaporation, because the water is already gone here. The water is not anymore there. So these are the remnants you see on the on the drop. But these remnants are in order, and the order must come how the water has organized this. Well, now we go to stones. This is an amber, one day in Warwick water, and you see that you really have a change of this water picture, as I call it, if you have an amber in or not. And now it happens, if you drink this water and your body may read it, then of course you have the information of this inside your body. And if you have a resonance to it, then of course it might change your behavior. So having all these thoughts, so we go further and further and further, but always very, very calm. You have to be very calm, you have to be waiting, you have to be waiting for the right moment, and so on. You cannot hurry. If you hurry, if I'll show you later, then this drop changes. This is very, 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 very clear. So now, could we use this for science? What's about the reproducibility? So if you make a number of drops on one glass plate or on several glass plates, then you see the drops are similar. They are not the same, but they are similar. But you can clearly see that these drops all belong to one class. This class is granulated resin, 7 days in water of myrrh. And these drops all show a special structure. You see the inside structure, you see the outside structure. And now the question here is, can you distinguish different sorts of water, different kinds of water? And here you have different kinds of water. You see this is one kind, that's a second, that's a third. And you see all these images are in one column, almost very similar, but you can distinguish the columns from each other. So this is an instrument where you have a certain ability to do, well, very, 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 very little kind of research. It's not a high resolution instrument, but basically, if you ask your questions right, you can find solutions for it. And so we were really keen to look further and to see what could this tell us next. So then we started, why shouldn't we only put things in? Because if you put things in like flowers, then you say the water resolves the flowers, and then you have this liquid inside, but even then you don't understand why you get this order. You should get some liquid chaos inside. So now we go not to matter, now we go to radiation. Now we go to electromagnetism. You see all these mobile phones and so on. And what did we do? We put a mobile phone into a pot, and then we had put water into the pot. The pot is a kind of cage in order to keep the mobile phone running. And then we put water out of the pot before, and we put water out of the pot after 3 minutes of mobile phone on. And then you see that these pictures are different. So this means the mobile phone has changed the structure of the water. You see the structure here, and you see the structure here, and you can read this is different. So this means that the water has stored the information of the mobile phone somehow and is changed. And this even when we look through the microscope in the range of visible light. But this is not in the range of visible light. So the structural change of the water, and we see the structural change in the range of visible light. So now we can see that the water is able to undergo a change under electromagnetic impact. Now, how far does this go? Now, I call this letters listens to mobile phone. Now, I put a lattice, a head of lattice, in my water. And first, this is the water before, and you see this water has in its picture a black hole in the center, and then I put a lattice in, and then I take drops first from the water, then I take drops with the lattice. And then I see these drops have changed. And always when I put some living in, some living thing into the water, then I get a center very, very often. Not always, but very, very often. You see a center. Life has a center in our world. And I see the center here. Then I put my mobile phone close to another lattice for 3 minutes. So the radiation is going to the lattice. The lattice is 80% of water or 90%. So the water of the lattice is taking the radiation up. And then I throw this lattice into the water, and then I make pictures. And also, you see, you can make drops of all within this pot, and all drops will give the same picture. So the information is in all these drops. So then I get this picture, and this picture you see is quite different from this picture. So this has been opposed to the mobile phone, and this not. So the lattice has stored the information of the mobile phone and given it to the water, and I can investigate the water, and then I can see that there is an effect. So this means that this effect is very, very sensible, which we have from the mobile phone. Now I go to humans. Now, of course, I have a mobile phone in my pocket here. When I put this on, it's off now. And would I take a saliva from myself, because saliva is also water. I don't talk about clean water, as you have seen. I talk about waters which are polluted or whatever. So I have also a number of body waters, like blood, like saliva, like urine. So the easiest I can get is the saliva. So I take the saliva out and make a picture from the saliva under my microscope, and I see this saliva. That's not me, but it's a person. So this is a typical personal picture of a saliva. And we find that all you are sitting here, we would make pictures from your saliva, all would be different, and they would all represent somehow yourself. They would represent how you are, how open is your structure, how what's about your rim to the outside, and so on. So this is a typical picture from a person. And now this is a picture after 3 minutes of mobile phone. So you see, not the heating of the head is important, but the change of the structure. And if the saliva structure is a body water, and the body water is together with your body yourself, and the steering of your body and the control of your body, then you see that the change is tremendous. And after this change, if this is a healthy person, after 3 minutes, this change will fade away. But if this is an ill person, it may stay for hours. So now I show you another picture, because that you see not only one, this is another person. You see, this other person has a totally different personal structure, because outside is very rigid, and inside here is open, here is very tight. Now this person, after 3 minutes of mobile phone, has changed like this. So if you are very, very healthy, or if you are not very sensitive to this, you will not change so much. If you are sensible, you will change very much. So now after electromagnetism, I switch over to sound. You see, for electromagnetism, everybody tells, well, water is a polar medium, and so on, and so on, and so on. Now I go to sound. Sound is a longitudinal wave, totally different. It's nothing to do with electromagnetism. And so we start with ultrasound, 50 kilohertz. If we take a water before, so always we take a water before, because there is no water without a history and without ingredients. So I take a water before and a water after. And you can see clearly that the ultrasound has changed the water and is stored in the picture even a long time after this water has come to rest. So I don't understand it, but this happens. Now, so I start and ask, what does it mean, for example, for living systems or for plants? So if I now water these plants with ordinary water, it grows, And with ultrasound water, it grows more. We have many, many experiments of this type, and we see always if you water the plants with ultrasound water, it grows more. This also happens to microwaves, to electromagnetism, but it happens also to ultrasound water. So there's information which the plant can read, obviously, and it changes the growth of these plants. So now go to the next sound. Now we got some girls from a school nearby, and these girls wanted to understand music. This one of the girls is Katerina. So, and what did the girls do? They said, well, first we will sit in silence, and then we will take our blood. Blood is also your body water. Our blood out of our finger after half an hour, and then we make drops. And Katerina's drops look like this. And then the next half an hour, she listens to Sati. Sati is calm piano music. And then she takes a blood drop out of her finger, and then she makes the drops under the microscope, and then you see this is her Sati behavior. So this means the music has changed her internal blood such that the drops have changed. Then she has listened to Deep Purple, you know, this bum, 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 and so on. Yeah? Then it comes out this, and then she listens to OTEP, which is a little bit harder. You see, the biggest change for her is Sati music. So what we learned from this, she then came and presented this to us, and we wondered about this. And she says, yes. So I'm a typical Sati person. So I like Sati, and you see also my blood changes. So this is another girl, Annette. And this is urine from Annette. And she also without Sati, Deep Purple, and OTEP. You see, she has a resonance for Deep Purple in her urine. Yeah? So, well, both of these girls came with a big booklet, more than 100 pages of all kinds of such things. They had frequencies and so on. I cannot show this all to you. But we found it very, very interesting because it was very clear, because this was not made by us. This was made by somebody else. So if we make it, the people come and say, you are a crazy person, you are a special person, it's not possible to somebody else. But you see, these are girls from the school next door. Now, fifth, I come to communication. Oh, what does this mean? We came across communication by chance. And finally, what we did is we investigated different types of water. So we put one droplet here, and you see this is a very nice one. This has these crystals outside. And we put another droplet here, and you see they don't touch. But you see, obviously, there's an interaction. This droplet opens the wall here, and they interact over a distance. I show you later why we did this. And I show you here that this is not always the case. So this is this reference droplet, and this is the Holy Ganges. So if you try to have an interaction between the Holy Ganges, we thought the Holy Ganges will interact with everything all over the world, but it didn't. No interaction at all. So the Ganges is here, the droplet is here. You see here's the border between the two. Then if we take another one, this is again this droplet here, and this is a droplet from South America. And you see there is a typical change over a distance. So the drops communicate. And if you make movies from it, then you see that the droplets run under the movie, one to each other, until, so like they love each other, more or less. and come over if there is a kind of resonance condition there. Here you see they even creep one into the other. So this means this is a communication between water and also body water. Right now, well, our hypothesis is that this communication range is about 1.5 meter. So all you are sitting here, you communicate already on this level with each other, and you are a big water soup, and there's a big social communication already based on this water. If you go in a bus or so, you are this water soup. So it's a social phenomena. So we did this because we didn't believe, of course. So we did this many, many times, and everybody else can do it too, and find that there is such a communication possible. Sometimes the range might be much bigger. I don't know. But what happens else is, if we go to human reaction, this was a very, very astonishing and frightening experience that he sleeps over there. We always make in the morning one reference drop. This was a very stable drop because water has a different kind of stability. Some drops, like you people are very, very stable. Almost everything can happen, you don't change. But some are very, very, very weak and change. If I just say, hello, what are you doing? Then you change already, yeah? Your emotion changes. So this is a kind of stable drop normally. And we do this as a test to see whether our equipment and whether our persons and all are right. And one day it happened that the person doing the drops had a shock. So it was a message coming from outside, from the family, very, very sad. And as we are, so the person was sitting, oh, the message is there, I do drops, I don't care. And all the drops the person made after the shock looked like this. And then she came to me crying, saying, hey, something is wrong. All our research is gone because all my drops don't work. And then after the shock was gone in the afternoon, this was in the morning, then the drops looked like this. We said, hey, what does this mean? And then we remembered we had some other experiences like this. And so there seems to be an interaction between the person doing the drops and the drops itself. And then we made an experiment, and again I show you not our experiment, but I show you an experiment of Erfinderclub Gelnhausen. These are children, and the children are so fascinating by our research that it's the same. So they put a number of people inside a room, all with the same water, all with the same glass plates, and all waiting, doing drops and waiting until the drops are dry. So you have all time the same interaction, you have the same place, you have the same time, and then you see, if there's nothing else in the water, this is the first person, all similar. Second person, all similar. But the first person is different to the second person. Yeah? And the third person and the fourth person. So this is a very clear indication that there is an interaction between the person who's making the drop and the drop, even when the person doesn't touch the drop. And then we started to think, what could it be? And then finally, we did these investigations to see whether it could be a water communication or not. Oops. So this brought us to our idea that so we have a reference water under the microscope. We have a certain impact, like maybe our mobile phone. Then the time plays a role. I don't show this here. And then the experimenter plays a role. And you put all this on top of each other, and then you look through and you have the picture of it all. So the reproducibility is dependent also on the experimenter, and the experimenter is a parameter in our setup of our investigations. And but if you take always the same experimenter, and the same experimenter is in the same mood, then you have a good result, of course. So therefore, you have to be very calm and do this. Now, I rush through 7, sensitive transformation. What is this? This is a stack of a gladiola in water, upright. I put it upright, and then I turn it upside down. I put it into the water, and when I then take drops out of the water, it all looks like this. So this means the gladiola stalk has told the water, hey, I'm upside down, help, 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 help. And the water, all the water is informed, it's upside down. So can I do this only with gladiola? No, I can this also do with sunflower. This is a sunflower upside down, and this is sunflower upright. And you see how sensible our nature is, yeah, telling such things. So this is homeopathy. This is Ignatia D3. You see drops look like this. This is Ignatia C50,000, very high potential. And you see you have a totally different picture. And I can go over, this is phosphor D6. And this is phosphor D30. So they have no material at all inside at this potential. Here you have still a little bit of material, phosphor inside, but here you have nothing inside. You have just the information. And you can see that this still has such a nice organized picture. Yeah. Now we transfer information via molecular waves. So we take molecular waves up and put them over, up from Edelweiss. This is Edelweiss. This is the water. And we put this information onto this water, and you see the Edelweiss coming up here. So this means you can have a molecular wave transformation where you really get this information over, and you see the flowers over there in your water drops. So, or as the talk before, we drink water. So this is St. Leonard's well. Before the person has a saliva picture like this, after it has a saliva picture like this, and you see this very, very rigid structure then opens after one glass of water, and this is magnified, and you see how this person opens in the saliva picture, more or less. Now it gets really crazy. So we had a glass of water, not only water with sausages in. So we bought it. So then we said, Regina said, well, I would like to make a picture from this water and with the sausages in. So this is a picture with the sausages in. And then she ate some sausages and said, now I do again a picture. So he has changed herself, and she ate some sausages. So she changed, and they took again picture from the same water, and it looks like this. So basically you cannot only change the water, you can change yourself, and you can change the picture because of this communication you have. Yeah. This is another type. You see melissa in water before eating, after eating. So the person ate the melissa, and then he make the same water drops, and then the melissa information was coming to him, to the microscope, and changing the drop picture. Or rock crystal in water. So before drinking, was this drop made? After drinking, was this drop made? And you see how sensible this information is going. Now be careful what you drink and what you eat, because that's changing the world. Now, of course, we went further and further. This is an example of activation by thoughts. So all people tell, well, this is, you have your consciousness and you have your memory and so on. And normally this doesn't depend on memory, it does depend on consciousness, of course, on mind, on consciousness, all these drops, but not on thoughts, really. So what I did was I put outside a probe, and inside this is a Faraday cage. This is made from mu metal. And I had a reference water. In the same water, the reference water was sitting far away. I put this outside the Faraday cage, this is this one, and then I had this inside the Faraday cage, and I tried to activate the water structure by my mind, by thoughts. So I said, I wish that in this drop should appear a structure. And if it's possible, inside and outside. And you see you have a structure outside the Faraday cage and inside the Faraday cage. What does it mean? My idea was I wanted to test whether my thoughts are electromagnetic or not. If they are electromagnetic, then it should not happen something inside the cage. But it happens something inside the cage. So I don't know what to do with it, but you see that this is possible. Yes, I'm finished now. Now the almost the last one. We had were visited by Carlos Orozco, and he is here, and you saw his poster yesterday, and he always experiments with the quantum field. And he told this to me. I said, yes, this is all nice, but we have to check whether this exists or not. How? He said, well, I said, let's try some water pictures. And so we took in some saliva without quantum field, saliva of one person, and then we built up a quantum field, and we put the person inside the quantum field, and then we took the saliva out of the person inside the quantum field, and you see it looks like this one. And of course, whether this is a quantum field or not, we don't know. But really, there is a difference between the without and with quantum field. Well, now it's the end. So we think, until today, water disposes reproducible images. See, even here, this is a salt crystal, and you see that the shape comes before the content. So the shape is already there, and then it fills with matter. So the shape is before the content. I think it's a big issue for philosophy. Water stores information. You have seen drops communicate via distances without drops touching each other if they fulfill a certain resonance condition. Water represents the order of the living system and works also like a mirror. And what? And what's now? Well, now we go ahead and we do other things. And I thank you very much. And this is a drop from Cuba, from a healer in Cuba. And you see what this drop does under the microscope is quite fascinating. Lots of energy. Okay, thank you very much. I wish you a good day.
Thank you very much for this clear and inspiring presentation. So we'll just learn that we already had a lot of communication in this room, but on top of that, maybe we can have a few questions. Jerry?
Thanks for your fascinating talk. It strikes me, I wonder what your opinion is, it strikes me that what you're doing, you're evaporating water,
right.
and what you have left is the water, so to speak, that's not been evaporated. It strikes me that this is very similar to what Vittorio Elia is doing to produce his solid water. Basically, he evaporates at low temperature. So my question is, do you think that if Vittorio were to do similar experiments to his solid water at room temperature, that he might find results similar to or analogous to what you find with the droplets or not?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I think, well, you see, this method is so simple, and well, what we think is that the water organizes in the liquid phase all these substances. And frankly speaking, I'm not even sure that these are substances. You see, when I come to my radiation or my thoughts, or when I come to these things, then it's, of course, what you probably see are some substances, but how they are ordered, it depends on forces inside the water in the liquid phase. When you watch how the droplets dry, it happens sometimes that you have the shape of the picture before, even in the wet phase. And then there's already there, and then the drop dries around this picture. So it seems that there is some information embedded, which then comes up, and this drying is only because in the liquid phase we cannot see anything, we can just see moving particles. And in the dry phase, this is somehow to store this and to reproduce it. So we can photograph it, we can put it in our shelf and so on. And I don't know whether this is possible to do without these. I think this phase transition is necessary for this, yeah.
I have the answer to your question in the sense, a little the opposite, in the sense that we made measurement thanks to a collaboration by dark field microscopy with our pure water. And it is possible to see how the water is drying, and when it's drying, the little sphere are forming, and only by dark field microscopy it is possible to see. We were doing some measurements, and the way they are depositing, their shape,
it is a little bit louder so that I can understand better.
You remember the shapes that the so-called dry water was forming yesterday?
Yeah.
Without salt inside. It is pure water, no?
Yes.
The similar shapes, it is possible to see also by dark field microscopy.
Oh, yeah.
And you see the same little spheres that are drying and that are organizing. We were not publishing yet because, but it is very interesting because with a more simple instrument, no, like also in this pure water, it is possible to see this condensation.
Okay, yes.
It is very interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That's the answer to your question. Maybe we should talk about. Thank you very much. Yeah, very good.
Question over here.
Thank you for a fascinating talk. Have you considered the effect of surface tension because there will be a surface tension gradient across that convex water droplet, and perhaps it's the surface tension gradient that actually organizes the dissolved solids in the water?
Yes, we had the same thoughts, and then we tried to change the surface gradient somehow. So we did this under different temperatures, and we did this under a number of different conditions, and we saw not a minor change in the drops. If you have a special situation, the class you get of the droplets will always be the same, will be very stable. So we don't feel that this depends very much on the surface gradient. Yeah.
There was a question in the back here.
So you subjected this water to lots of different types of energy. Did you do any similar information transfer like Emoto did using written language?
Yes, we did some of the written, and we have some results also in the book that is possible to do it, but we could not do it as Emoto did, because what we would like to do is always to have a reproducible set. So we never do one picture and look for the best one. So we do a number of pictures and look how similar they are. And for example, we had a very good example from one person sending us a bottle from a well, and he sent 2 bottles, and one bottle he wrote something on, and the other bottle not. And we investigated 2 bottles, and we saw there was a huge difference between the bottle he wrote something on and the bottle not. Of course, this is not a real scientific proof because this was only 1 bottle. Yeah, so we should have to have 10 bottles or whatever. But this is not the only thing. We also tried it by ourselves. You can even put your business card or your picture under the water, and you can see that a systematic change is undergoing in the water by this. So, but this is all, well, I didn't present it here because this is something for the future.
Okay, be careful what you do with your business cards. So, last question over here.
Yeah, thank you very much for this wonderful presentation showing us the changes and how sensitive the crystallization dynamics in water are. But you have shown us a number of different influences, even thoughts, if I understood you correctly. Now, how can you be sure that what you're showing is caused by the exact influence you're testing? Because if it's sensitive to temperature, humidity, air pressure, thoughts, electromagnetic waves, these are all, and even the person doing the experiment. So these are all present together at the same time always. How can you be sure that the influence that you're choosing is producing the result we're seeing?
Well, with this method, I cannot be sure.
Okay.
I cannot distinguish between these parameters.
Okay.
But this way of thinking is typical, a classical scientific way of thinking.
Of course.
My way of
Thank you.
My way of thinking is, you see, the other way of thinking is there are phenomena existing in the world, and the phenomena is showing itself by itself. So this is philosophy, and so what you then have to do is you have to sit there and just watch and be curious and wait for the phenomena coming up. So, and then be very, very careful, go on and say, now I change it by whatever, by my mobile phone, or now I change it by, so I try then to address certain things which I would like to know to this phenomena, but I have all the temperature, humidity, and so. And what we did is we tried a number of different humidities, we tried a number of different temperatures, and so on with the same water sample to get an idea, is this a fake, is this just our fantasy, or is this something real? And the best proof, I think, that it was real were the children. Children from next school doing this and come and show, hey, look. Yeah.
Okay, thank you once again.
Okay.